Hello, hello. Starting just a little bit early. Hopefully that's straight. I hope everyone is doing well. Let me get myself set up here. Okay. Oh, yeah, we even look straight. Yay! Hello, Vicky. How are you? Good morning, Kelly. How are you? Hope everyone's doing well. I so last week, I think it was me and Cordelia. We said, we found all of our albums, and they're kind of like looking at us. So I'm actually going to work on one today. So dug through some of my pattern papers, found this. This is, I don't even know when this was from. I don't know if it has a date. No, but I know I've had this one for a while, and it was buried. So I did grab one of my albums. I always have pre-made albums ready to go. This one here. Good morning, La France. This one is 6 by 8. So it's a 6 by 8, and it is a 3-inch spine, and it's got 4 hinges. So we'll have 4 pages, and I've already got the bases created as well. And we're going to decorate those first. I do find, well, when I do a journal, I find sewing it together and then decorating it is kind of easier for me. However, for a scrapbook album, I find if I do the pages first, then put them on, that's easier for me. So we won't see this for a while. Um, and I'm sure we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there today. What I am gonna work on first, though, is the cover. These are the pages that we are going to be using. It's called House of Roses. These I'm automatically going to tear out because they are going to be journaling cards. I mean, just beautiful pages. You don't want to cut into any of them. This is what I'm going to use for the cover. So I am going to tear that out. This is actually going to be the cover, the spine, and the back. We're going to wrap this around, but still have a break. So I'm going to pull that out. And then these are the rest of the pages. And I don't think I'm going to use these as the tags because we've got paper there, and then this, and then that's our back. All right, so let's start a cutting. So knowing that this is 8, I want to cut this 7 3/4 in height right now. So I'm going to find the center, and we're going to make some marks. All right, so I hope everyone, Cordelia, good morning. How are you? So I know this is my center. And I said 7 3/4, right? Yes. So this is 3. That's 3. That's 7. Yep, I'm thinking. Let's see, 3/4. So that's 3/8 is the halfway point. So instead of trying to figure this out, I'm going to use my ruler. So I know I want to cut here. And I know I want this cut here. All right. So, like I said, I hope everyone was having... It's early. I know. You know, you'll never see me... Well, you see me rarely measuring... but for scrapbook albums, I really do tend to measure. And now this should, and it is. Yay me. Okay, look at that. All right, yep, I keep those. So I'm going to start building that pile. Oh, okay. All right, so now I need to, I'm going to find the center of this one as well, because of course it's at 6. So I know that's my center, and I'm actually going to turn this over because it is just off a little bit, but I'm okay with that. But I really want to know what the center is, because now I've got my 3-inch spine. So this is 2, that's going to be 3, and I want this to be 2 and 3. I do it again. Okay, let's grab that ruler. That's why these rulers are awesome. So we're going to do the same thing. So 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to cut here. And then we're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to cut here. Now this should be and it needs to actually go out one more, I think, because that's only 2. It's 2 3/4. I don't know what I was looking at. So I'm starting from the center and working my way out for my cuts. I can't see that. This is where I kind of, sort of, well, no, not kind of, sort of. I hold my breath on this. All right, so now we've got our spine. And it's easier to glue all of this up onto the cover when it can get somewhat flat. So this is going to sit here. And then this one's going to sit on this side. And then this one's going to sit on this side. And then we're going to have something that does extend off of this to cover this here. And I don't know if I can make these work. And honestly, I kind of don't like that. Okay. But I do kind of sort of like that. Alright. So we're going to have that. And then we're going to have that. And then we'll put something here to embellish. Again, we're going to let the paper do the work on this. Daily, good morning. Lisa, good morning. Welcome. Okay, so let's get these cut down. Let's get that up there. Let's get that out of my way. We're going to change my mind. Yep. Lots of changing our minds today. All right, so 7 3/4 again. And then knowing that our cover is 6 by 8, I do have a mat that I want to add. Yeah, it's going to make you go crazy with me constantly pulling this in. So I want this to be, if it's 6 by 8, we're going to cut this to be 5 7/8. And I'm going to need 2 of those. By 7 7/8. And then I can pull one of these in because we'll need this to be 7 7/8 as well. And then this is going to be 2 7/8. And that's for our spine. Alright, so let's build our bases, and then we can move on so that we'll create the flips, the flaps, the flops, and all of that. So I do want to put this piece down first. And we're giving it a very small border so that when I bring this in, it'll have the same small border. Wonderful. Yeah, I spent yesterday I have had some very different schedules at work. Um, I'm on a construction site, and we are in the phase of pouring the decks of the building. So we do that very early in the morning. And Friday was one of those days that we did this. Usually I work from home on Fridays. And yesterday I just couldn't work on anything. I just could not work on anything. Now this should have a very thin border as well. And it does. And I'm actually going to slice a slither off of this. Just a small one. So my body must have been telling me, yeah, you know, you need to just sit and relax and not do anything. So I could not. But what I did do, because I had to do something, I went through all of my scraps. Yep, that took all day. And I organized them. So I have from scrappy of scraps, small pieces, to larger pieces that will work in albums or journals for tags and pockets and tucks. Oh my. Good morning, Heidi. Um, so to pull those out, because they can be used in, different ways, which is a good thing. So now I know what I can grab, what I can't, what's available to me, what's not. I think I'm going to take a slither off of these as well. Where do I want to do that? So that's that one, and I took it off that side. So I'm going to do this one. And then we're going to do this one. So that like really made me feel good to do that. And that just helps me work through my scraps more. Good morning, Rosanna. Hope I said that right. There we go. That's so much better. Yes, so this one's going to go on this one. And then once I did that, I started making mini albums and actually dusted off the cinch. Yes, I have one of those. Dusted that off and was having a ball with it, actually. That is absolutely a fun machine to work with. Alright, so that's the back, and now let's get the front on there. And then I also went through all of the paper that I have, at least the 12 by 12. Alright, so that is what our cover is going to look like. I don't want to commit to these down because I don't know what type of closure I'm going to put here. If I'm going to have, I know, well, if, that's funny. I know I'm going to have metal going on in here, whether it's brads or a chain or something of that nature. So I don't want to put these down yet, but I'll do that before I put the bases in. So that is what our cover will somewhat resemble. Gwen, good morning. Oh, well, then I'm glad I'm doing this. Yeah, I do it every Sunday when I wake up. I do my grocery shopping before I do this. And I honestly, guys, I never know what I'm going to do. You just never know. I do like to clip my pieces down just so that I can have them on here so that I can see what I'm doing and I don't lose anything. So again, for this, we're just going to let the paper do the work, and when it's folded, this is what it'll look like. Okay, So let's work on our bases. And I will start the pile of colored cardstock compared to pattern paper scraps off to the side here. So these are the bases. They are going to have a side entry, and then this will go on to the hinge. So to make sure that I remember that, I do use Post-its. So I'm just going to take a Post-it and put that here so that this will tell me hinge. And I do that because many times I forget. And as I'm putting the bases together, yes, I have made some upside down. Yep. Yep. I can laugh about it now. It's just... I can go as so far to say, okay, this is one, this is page 2, but I don't get to that point until I know that the center is going to look like something else. So Post-its are my friends. There's a lot of good uses for Post-its. Masking, labeling, and I try to reuse them as much as I can. Cordelia, I would be having my groceries delivered all the time if it was a 45-minute drive. Um, I am blessed with the location of my grocery store. It's 1 mile away. 1 mile. All right, so I pulled in my scraps for this as well. And I know for each one, and this is going to be very, very basic. Very basic. So this is 5 3/4. So I want these to be 5 1/2 by and then I'm going to add another, so that's going to be 6 1/2 that I'm going to cut it. So I'm talking out loud. By 3 1/4. So I need, since I have 4 pages, I'm going to need 8 of these. So I do these also kind of in production style as well. And then we're going to cut them to 6 1/2. And since this is this type of a cutter, we cannot do that because these are different sizes. But yeah, After I got back, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I do not know. But when I walked in, I just remember the conversation last week where we said, yeah, these things are staring at us. So these pockets are going to be deeper pockets. And what I mean by that is, so I determine the size of the pocket based on my base pages, and then I am going to score it at a 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So you want to make sure along the long edge you add a 1/2 inch, and on the short add 1 inch, because now you've got your two flaps. So these are going to have those flaps that come in, and it just gives a little bit extra room in the pocket. You don't have to do this. You could just take the measurement of your pocket and have that down. You just won't be able to put as much goodies inside of the pocket. This will expand just a little bit. Oops. But I did. I pulled out my cinch machine. I dusted it off. And I have to admit, we kind of bonded. We kind of bonded. Not binded. Too funny. Yeah, that 45-minute drive, that would, woo. Yeah, no, that would not happen. And then I just cut the corners off and miter. But I made those little 3x4. I also did a lot watching, catching up on my YouTube videos. And I saw these adorable 3x4 cinch books. And just had a ball with the scraps. And that's kind of what made me say, okay, I need to move these scraps around. Now, I use, when it comes to the inside, for my base pages, I use a heavier weight cardstock, and for everything else, it's scraps. Because I know I'm going to layer. So each one, and you can certainly do this, you know, make each of your pages the same. You're still going to get the same effect because pattern paper is going to do all the work. So each of these are going to have this pocket here. So there's going to be a different color here, and all of that. So it's going to be set up the same. Now, the only thing that I'm going to glue down right now is this bottom flap. And I'm going to center that. So you can see that when this comes up, it's a little crooked. Okay, now it's straight. We'll adhere that in. I want to make sure that my papers are down first when that comes to. Now you can also make it go all the way across. I just want this, the craft is going to be my mat. And I have seen this trick with a couple people that I watch, and it's ingenious. It is absolutely ingenious. Take a piece of tape over that. So not my idea. And it creates, when you have this down and you're putting something in, it doesn't get caught. It actually goes down to that base. So awesome! I'm just going to put a clip here so that it holds down. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. So that's something that I like about scrapbook albums. You can keep it simple. Doesn't have to be, I mean, there's some beautiful ones out there with all of those flips and those flaps. But sometimes when we just keep it simple, we get to see the beauty of the paper and what it can do. So Cordelia, you don't like the stylus? I'm kind of a fan of the stylus. I don't think these ever are sharp enough. I think the stylus gets in there. There's a learning curve, though. I can't tell you how many times I went right through the paper. Yeah. I'm a very strong crafter. Very strong. I always said when I stamped I did CPR. To the point where I was very upset I broke one of my favorite paper creasers. It was one made by Tonic, and it had the metal tip on it. I loved that because it was skinny and I would use it on my scoreboard. But boy, I snapped that little puppy right in half. Because just absolutely did that. So I was very upset because I cannot find it anywhere. I've tried, even Amazon. So very, very upsetting. I also only like to put the pockets in this way because I never know if I'm going to pivot and if I'm going to add something like a flip or a flop or a flop. Good morning, Sala. So there is a learning curve with the stylus. And I know, I think I forgot to put the tape on those other two, but that's okay. We can go back and look at that. Sala, I saw that folio that you did. I was watching that this morning. Absolutely gorgeous papers. Gorgeous images. Get yourself tucked in there. Yeah. But last week, and you can see once you choose your design, it goes quick. Good morning, Dana. Hope I said that right. Well, of course, Sally. Well, I do. I sneak around a lot. On YouTube, and I watch a lot of videos, and I need to get better at that, commenting, and because I know that helps all the channels. Yes, yes, Cordelia. As I said, there is a learning curve with that, and you can see it doesn't like thick papers. And really, the only thick paper that it doesn't like for me when I use a stylus on my scoreboard is um, the Recollections craft. And I know you guys have heard me say before that even though they say it's 110 pound, I believe it's heavier. It's awesome. Unless it was just this pack that I got. Um, because all of my neutrals for cardstock, white, ivory, craft, and black, are Recollections. I do like their papers, both in 65 pound and the 110 pound. And they're 65 pound when you, sometimes they have awesome deals when you buy it in bulk. You can get like 50 pages for like $2. But you're also getting 12 packets of that. So I don't recommend that for anybody, but I do go through it a lot. Okay. So now we've got our pocket. Now we're not going to use any, I don't want to use any magnets in this one. I think I'm still recuperating from all the magnets that I used on the Creep on June journal. The game journal with all the game pieces. But what I want to do is I do want to have a flap that comes down off the top. So we're going to do the same thing. That's going to measure, that's going to be a straight, since this is 5 3/4, I'm going to take that to 5 1/2. And I want it to come down to right up just above this mark. And found it. And I want it to come straight from the top. So I'm going to make that, sorry. All right. So 5 1/8 by 5 1/2. All right. So let's see what that looks like. I do always test my pieces out. All right, so 5 1/2. And we're going to go to 5 1/8. And I want to keep, so this is the 5 1/2. And yeah, I'm going to pull in my smaller one. So along the, yeah. See, I have to slow down. And for these, I am going to snip off the corners as well. So now this is going to sit, and see, it's the wrong way. All right, I saved this piece. Oh. 5 1/2. Yep, 5 1/2. And then we want to cut this by 5 1/8. Bad cut. Okay. Oh my goodness. So this is lining up with the pocket, and this is where I want to score. So I want to score on the 5 1/8 side. Now we'll do that. See, it happens to all of us. All right, so we're only 45 minutes in. All right, we're going to do the same thing. Now again, for this one, I do want it to come up to the edge of the piece, and you can see it just barely hits there, and I'm okay with that. So this is what our next piece for all of our pockets are going to do. All right, so that's going to be like that. Now we're gonna stop that. All right, but each of these are going to be that way. So let's get those pieces cut, and let's see if I can remember to do them right. All right, 5.5. And just so you guys know, I'm going to say that these are all scraps. So there was a project that I worked on, and these are all the scraps from it. These are also all the scraps from when I make my albums. These are the pieces that are left. So just in case someone is curious, thinking that I'm pulling all these new sheets, I am not. These are all scraps. And now we're going to get these in place. And we are very close to using the pattern paper. I do that as well, guys. I always like. That like button is always, always hit by me. Yes. It's almost one of the first things that I do. Yep. Yep. When I watch anyone's video. Yep. I really need to turn these because I'm going to do it again. I'm going to cut wrong, another one wrong again. So what is this? This is, nope. All right, so they all need to go this way. I do. I am a big fan of the Recollections paper, but mainly for the neutrals, the craft, the white, the ivory, and the black, in both the 110 pound and the 65 pound. I do, excuse me, I do also enjoy their packs of the multicolor. I think they are perfect for matting. They don't add a lot of bulk, and you get all of these wonderful colors. So, yeah. Now, when it comes to colored cardstock, like for card bases, die cutting. I do not like to use the Recollections paper for die cutting, and I don't know why. I'm not a fan of it for die cutting. Layering like Scrappy Tales, and I'm so excited. Scrappy Tales has another release. I don't know why. I do not know why. Good morning, Lynette. How are you? Oh, I like that. My crafty look down peeps. There we go. Um, I like to use, regular cardstock. And that's just all over the place for me when it comes to cardstock. There's certain colors that I like from certain companies that I can only get there. Um, but my overall favorite is either the Spellbinders cardstock or, dare I say, Stampin' Up. Good. I'm so glad you are well. I just, I know. I'm loving the theme of the wedding collection. Um, so you guys will see me make stuff with that. Vicki, we do not have a Hobby Lobby near me. Um, it's very upsetting. It's very, very upsetting. Michael's is 5 minutes from me. Yeah, that's dangerous. And I have learned that with Michael's, to control me, um, I either order online and have it shipped to me, or I order it online and I pick it up. And I put side blinders on so that I can't see anything new. And I keep my fingers crossed when I walk down the aisle, hoping I'm not going down by the 12 by 12 pattern papers that they have now. Yes. Uh-huh. It's kind of funny. Very much so. But it's, everything for me, it's a process. It's all a process. And again, I'm just using these clips just to hold everything down so that I don't bang this all up. But yeah, there is not a Hobby Lobby. I've been in a Hobby Lobby. I went to a friend's house. She lives in Chicago, and she took me to one. Very dangerous. Yes. Um, but absolutely wonderful, wonderful store. But yeah, we do not have one near me, which I'm okay with. It's saving me. I'm trying to be very good with buying stuff. Only buying the things that I need, like my papers for my journal so that I can print, copy paper. Always have that because I do go through that a lot. So bulk items. Um, I I can't remember the last time actually. Now I did buy one stamp. I was very surprised. I bought one stamp because it was a corgi. I had to have the corgi. And the corgi was hanging on a margarita glass. I mean, hello? So, yeah, I had to get that. So I'm doing very well with that. But, the whole, yeah, it can be shipped to me. That, that doesn't, stop me. Oh, babe, good morning. Now, that one I may just have to snip off just a little bit because that's not sitting well. So, when we run into that, it's okay. Because again, things can be crooked. It's all good. So I'm just going to put this in here, and the tiniest of slither is going to come off. I'm going to line that in the trimmer. And we are good. That's what I love about that trimmer. You can have the smallest of small amounts removed, and it doesn't tear at the paper. So here's a funny story. So, okay. Not funny, but kind of. Okay, I'll get to it. There's a funny spot in there. So, we had, and it's the summertime. You have thunderstorms and all of that. But with everything that's been going on, around, the storms for everyone have just been um, concerning. I'll say it that way. I don't want to say anything like that. Um, all right, so now we've got our 4 pages all set, ready to go. I know these are my hinges when it comes to that. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll get back to the story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I want these 2 here because these are the centers. All right, so you got 2 and you got 2. And there's just going to be something a little bit different, I think, going on in here. Maybe, maybe not. I think I'm going to continue because I think I just talked myself right out of it. So, yeah, that's what I did. See, I just immediately. So we had already had some thunderstorms come through, and for some reason we have also been losing power more so than normal. Which okay, I've got a generator. I always hope my husband's here because I can't get the generator started. That does not work for me. So this one storm came through, and it was powerful. She was a powerful one. Now my phone never went off, and I'm okay in storms. I'm better if I'm not home. Yeah, for some reason I am just better in during storms if I am not home. Now I want to choose my inside papers for my covers. Well, I was home for this one, and I was by myself because my husband went to hit golf balls. Yeah. Yes, he did. I think I'm going to go with that one. And that's 2 play. So this storm came in, and it was about 10 till, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut my HVAC down. I'm going to make sure my computer shut down. I'm going to unplug it from the wall, because most of you have heard the debacle of the sewing machine. Okay, let's not relive that. I'm happy now. Okay. And I just happened to go on the app. Oh, I like that one. But that one's kind of more plain. I'd rather have this one throughout. And there was a tornado warning. No, I won't say what I said, but I was fine. I mean, I was okay. So I grab my phone. I go downstairs. I text my husband, stay where you're at. Don't move. Let this storm cycle through. And he's like, yeah, we were all called inside. I said, okay. So just stay where you are. And he's like, and how are you? I said, I'm okay. I was honestly, I was okay. So I'm okay cutting this one. I mean, it's really tough when it comes to Stamperia because they don't give you 2 of each page. They only give you 1. So my choice for my cover was either this one or the clock, and I went with the clock. But this is also too big for the pages. I would have to cut this right down the center to get something to look into that. So I'm okay, and I'd rather this be my inside, if that makes sense. So I always try to look at the pages and say, okay, what is this going to do? And how is that going to work? So anyway, so I go downstairs. I'm sitting in the steps because we do have a basement. So I go down to the basement. This is 6 by 8. I'm going to cut this 5 3/4. I'm going to flip it around so I can get this on the edge. I'm going to cut this as 5 3/4. Yeah, I say that. It makes good washi tape. And then, okay, I want that side. So now it's going to be 7 3/4. That's going to go there. And I think I want this top. And that's going to go on that side. Now I'm going to change my matte color. I'm going to go with this peachy pink. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to cut this to be 7 7/8. 5 5 7/8. So these are going to sit on this. So again, very small border. And we'll still have the border of the craft going around it. This is also a good way to use up those solid colors that maybe you don't like too much. And if you've got a lot of it, it'll help. Because you don't see it that much. Now I may, well, you all know I'm going to. I may around these colors put vintage photo just to pull that color back, because for me it's pretty strong. It's pretty bright. And I don't want it to be that bright. And these, like I did with the cover, are not going to get glued down yet into the book. They're going to get clipped. And again, we're just going to clip that in there. So now we've got our cover and then our inside. Not quite sure. I'm sure I'm probably going to put pockets on those as well. But we're going to set that aside. Find a spot. There we go. So now for our pages, we can do the same thing. We can add our solid cardstock here because with our scraps, we've got some flexibility. So you can see I used so far 2 pieces of solid cardstock, but this here can be a mat where I actually cover the front, or you can make your pocket out of this. But I think we're going to use these just a little bit differently because we have these nice strips that we can use that'll tie in all of those colors. But now what I want to do is break down our pages because we have a flip and we have a pocket. So now we can look at, and remember these here, this is 5.5. Let me measure that again. So I know these are 5.5 wide. And these are basically 4 5/8. But as I said, we're going to change that up just a little bit. But I want to lay out my papers. Oh my God, there's no competition. Why did I say, oh, thank you, Cordelia. Oh, you are so kind. Okay, so let me get caught up in the comments here. Oh my goodness. Ave, I'm doing just well. I hope you are doing well today. I am making a scrapbook album, a very quick scrapbook album, because I think we are just over an hour. We've got our base pages, and we are about to put our decorative pages on top now. So, good morning, Jill. Thank you for popping in. I hope you are well. Teresa, good morning. Thank you so much. For joining us here. Let's see. Have a great day, Vicki. If you're still here, I doubt it, but have a great day. Sala, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for stopping by. Good morning. Good morning. And is that Zach or Jacques? Jill, have an awesome day. Oh, you did all the baking and the cooking yesterday, Cordelia. Okay. So these are big prints. So I am going to look at these this way and tear them this way as well, because I do want to look at the larger sizes that I have available, and you'll see why. So Stamperia usually does this. They'll have this big, beautiful image on there. Oh, Cordelia, I'm truly grateful. Thank you so much for that. When it comes to their images, not sure if that one's going to fit in. So these are backgrounds. I'm going to set those aside. And I need eight. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so yeah, I will definitely have 8. All right. So what I'm going to do now is take, I think these are 2. These are too small. Yes. Going to cut some squares. So if they were 5.5, I'm going to go 5.25. Because what this is going to be, the first part, is this is going to be the closure for these. So this piece is just going to slide in here. And that is what's going to close that. And that is a perfect size. Oh my goodness. And then there's going to be another piece that's going to come from the scraps that's also going to sit in here. And that's going to be a tag. So these are the 2 sizes now that I need. And that's how each of these are going to be closed. So now we don't have the flappy. And that's actually a flap. I call that a flap. When the flap goes up, that's a flap. Then we have our flips and our flaps. I don't have one that for it to go down. I don't know what to call it when it goes down. I don't want to say flump. That just sounds horrible, but that's what I do. So that is another way that you can create your closures when you have your flip flaps or flups. All right. You can have that creation. So I need, and again, these are the scraps that we used and that we created from, and I'm just lining these up to say, okay, do these fit? And that's another reason why I keep my scraps next to me, to say, okay, how can I use these? How can these work? And I think I should have, so there's already 8 of those. And these we might just have to cut. So these are measuring 5.25 by 6.5. So I need another 5.25. By 6.5. Now, could these possibly? Nope, they are too small. But that's okay. That is okay. These actually measure 5 and an 8. I need these to be 6.5. Again, digging into these scraps It's okay that they're a little bit smaller. No one's ever going to know. So now I've got 2 of those. So I got 2 craft. I'm going to need to cut into another piece of solid cardstock. And I'm going to keep the, we're going to keep the solid cardstocks at 5 1/8, 6 1/2. And then I'm going to do 2 more craft. And those we're going to do 5 1/4. And again by 6 1/2. All right. Just like that, we have our closures completed, or we have them set up. So now I want to make sure that I go into these pages here and say, okay, what are, I'm going to get those up there out of my way. Where are the designs? And this one I want to have on craft. Whenever there's a specific design I'm looking for, I take that so that I can see it down at the bottom. 5 1/4, we're going to take that to 5 1/8. And then I know that is 6 1/2. So that is going to sit on that. That's what our closure's going to look like. So let's get those set up. Now this one we can get multiple. Remember, your pattern papers can give you multiple looks depending upon how we cut it. Good morning, Dawn. I saw you. Oh my God. Okay. Cordelia, you still need to send me your address because I'm driving down. Yeah, I'm just saying. Oh, thank you, Dawn. That is so sweet. Thank you for stopping by, Jack. Appreciate it. Okay. So when you look at it, you can just look and say, okay, this is a different way to cut this. So I'm seeing 2 coming from this one. And I think I'm going to go boom, boom. Okay. So that is going to be 5 because we cut those at 5 1/8. And then this is going to be that. So that's going to sit there. And then this one we're going to cut at 5 again. Do I really want to cut that bird off? I'm going to shift this over. And then bring this down. same thing. And then this is going to go on that one. I need to move my scraps. I'm going to go right across this. I know these are all the same size. And let's see. I want both of these. Yeah. So we're going to go 5. And we're going to go 5. All right, so now we got the solid ones, or the solid cardstock cut. So now I can go back. Everything else is going to go onto a craft base. This is 5 1/4. Oh, did I just do that wrong? A little bit. Now, do I have, okay, so I just have one more. Now, I'm also keeping in mind that like I did that with the hand. Okay, so back to, oh, I don't want to go to the, so I don't want to cut the butterfly off. I think it's pretty with the butterfly. So again, that just gives us, you know, more scraps if we need them. But now all of our closures are now done. All right. Now they're set aside. And the closures can also be photo mats. So cute decoration. You can still journal over this and boom, add a photo. Okay. Let's move that out of the way real quick. Let's check on the comments. Let's see. Okay. So again, when we look at our papers, I think this is perfect for, I wish it was a little wider, for this when we cut this across. But that just means too that you can also pull in and look at, okay, if this piece here measures that, I'm talking out loud again. So this is 5 1/4. So that would be 2 1/4. That's okay. Yes, can you tell I cut that wrong? Just saying. Just saying. So these are cut 2 different sizes because of the way that we used up our scraps. And that's just what we're going to continue to do. So I'm actually pulling back the pieces that are left. Like, okay, that's just too small. I'm not that extreme. That we use to get our larger pieces down. So when I go back through my scraps, I look at, okay, what's this piece? What's this width? Now this is actually the cover, but it can still be used. But I like that. All right, so 2 1/2. And I'm just setting these down now. So I'm shifting where my scraps are going. And just getting them in place. Because we always change our minds. And we can. Yes, very different in size, but that's okay. Because that can be a band on top of that. Again, just focusing in on these scraps so that we can use them up. righty. Now, those have been completed. And we are only an hour and a half in. My goodness. Yes, yes, Ave. Yeah, the rabbit hole can be very dangerous. Well, and it is. It's very, very dangerous. Now I know all of these are the same. So we want to go because this is just completely different. So I better write this one down. 4 3/8 by 5 1/4. All right. So now we need to look at, I want backgrounds for these. Pure backgrounds. Now, although this one would look really cool because it would match. So, there. All right, I got something stuck here. Why do I have something stuck? What's stuck? No, that's stuck anymore. That is stuck. Should be there. Okay. So I'm looking for that continuation now to come up. And not sure if I'll be able to find all of the ones that we had. But not worried about that either, if that makes sense. Oh, that little ladybug. You hear the lawnmower, that would be my husband. Okay, so back to our story. You can see where I'm going with this. So, I was calm, which honestly was really surprising for me. Um, because usually I just pace and all that. So I'm downstairs. So we lost power. That went down just a little bit, but it came right back up. Didn't have, came back in like 10 minutes. Everything was fine. At some point, uh, so Max was still up here. So I just hollered up, Max, come on downstairs. And he did. That was, to me, that was awesome. Yes. Max absolutely did that. All right, now I'd like to find, and I don't think, I don't. I think I used up. I don't know that that one's on. But he did. He actually came down and he wasn't quite understanding this. You know, why are we down here? This doesn't look right. This doesn't feel right. But he still did it. All right, this one I think I'm going to use this one. So we just sat down there, and it was for about for that alert. It was about 15 minutes, and you know we got through it. Came up, cat wanted a treat, so I gave him one. So the next day, and I didn't think anything of it. And again, my phone did not go off, but everybody was talking about it. Oh, you know, did you have this? Did you have this? Yep, you have this. And I'm like, my phone never went off. And they're like, you know, well, that's really odd. And I said, okay. So my sister came across. Now, this is where it gets funny. I mean, first of all, I was thrilled that I was calm. I was calm. I really need to say that. I was calm. I am not liking that one. Just, just not. Just not liking it. Um, my sister texted me. And she goes, yeah, we must have had, we had high winds. Must have had, you know, something come through. And I'm like, okay, you know, are you okay? Is everything good? So her concerned. Now, when she told me that Scott, her husband, had said, you know, get down to the basement. Her and the cat. And I said, well, did you bring Scott with you? You know, your husband, because you know I didn't hear that he had gone down. And as she was saying it, so her concern and what she was upset about was her gardens. Yes, and she's got a cherry tree that sits in front of the house that she absolutely loves. And one of those branches had come down and landed right on top of her garden in the front. Now, my sister just recently retired. So she is absolutely enjoying life. I am so jealous, but so happy for her. And she definitely has a green thumb. I, on the other hand, have a black thumb. I do not. I do not grow things well. I need to pull in a brown on these, at least my opinion. I think these need to have a brown base to them. What do you think? You agree with that? I think they do. All right. We already have our papers chosen. We've got everything going on. Now what we're going to do is we are going to mat those. I do want them to have a mat. And we do need to get our mats underneath. But I always like to, I work top to bottom. Because in case if I have to, I can use solid cardstock or I can pull other pattern papers in if I have to when it comes to what's underneath. But I do need, and I'm feeling a dark brown. So I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, I can't believe I don't have a dark brown. No! Hang on. May not be a dark brown, but I found a brown. There we go. All right. So, yes, that was what she was worried about. And I said, Colleen, really? And she's like, yeah, I need to. Now, she thought what was funny, she thought that with the storms that were coming through, that Steve went to go hit golf balls. I'm like, yeah, he's awesome. So that is going to mat. That is not correct. So if I cut that there, how about that? Nope. Figure out my size here. Lovely. And then this will go there and there. All right, so these are going to be 2 5/8. 5 1/4. So yeah, she just made me giggle. But everything else was fine. But I was just happy that I was okay. That, meaning I was fine to go, that I wasn't giving myself, an aneurysm. So these are going to be the mats for the pockets and the top flap. And this I found in my closet. And we're going to spread these out now. And we're going to move these over there. And now we're just tucking these pieces underneath so that I know that they are cut. Again, I don't glue anything down or commit to it until I know that all of my pieces are cut and basically in place. So now I know that this is 5 1/4. And I know that top piece is there. So I'm going to take this to that doesn't make sense. It does. It does. I'm going to take this to 4.5. Let's see. Nope. Because that's cut. That's going to be cut to 5 1/8. So you can see that I don't want to commit. Ooh. Now let's see if that's the correct size. Yes. I also do not, I get asked a lot, I mean, I get the fact of saving paper, but I'm not going to cut out the center of the paper because I don't want it to concave in. And it will. Now, if you're okay with that, by all means, keep yourself happy. You do you. These are just, you know, some of the quirks that I have. And now I'm just cutting these down to this size that I'm looking for. And you can make them all flips if you want. You could certainly do that. And these are papers that are in my scraps as well. My papers were actually sitting out in the sun, or they were in the line of the sun, and you can see how it's two different colors. Or I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it's two different shades because the sun actually changed it. So these are just sitting in my closet in my scraps, just so I can have some fun with them. Use them up. Wrong one. And then the last thing we actually have to cut, and then the base of our album is done. Believe it or not, the base of our album is done. Just going to real quick go through these. The only piece that we have to look at now is what's actually sitting underneath here to have a background of some sort. So I'm just going to take one of these clips off because this can be left alone. You don't have to cover every spot. You can take a plain piece of cardstock up here and make that be your photo mat. And maybe we'll do that probably with these browns that we have, to just have that sitting up there and, you know, add some fun to it, you know, put it on an angle, but we can put it straight on in there. And then that could just say, okay, that's a photo mat. We can use some of the solid cardstocks, but we need to look at this piece here, and we're going to keep it the same width. So this is going to be 5 1/4. And then to go down, I want to go down into the pocket just a little bit. We're going to say 5. So 5, I better write that down. 5 1/4 by 5. Because you don't have to put all of your papers down in there. And I'm going to put this here. And that can actually flip now. And we're going to do the same thing with the pocket. We can have them sticking onto the pocket, so we can have that down there. You don't have to go all the way down, and then that can save you on some papers as well when it comes to that. So let's do a cut on that. Because this is what we have left. We have this large sheet with this style of a background. We have that. We don't have those, so that's why I'm going to cut into these. And then we have this. Now we're going to get, we can get 4 from each of these. Because again, we're cutting down. We're only going 5 1/4 wide by 5 inches tall. So we could get 4 from these. And if I look, these two kind of match. This is just very odd. This one's just odd. So let's set that one aside. And let's cut this into 4 pieces. And I'm going to cut them twice. So, 5 1/4. And this is where I really start holding my breath to make sure that my cuts are correct. And I'm taking a chance here. So we got 1. And then we want to go 5. So I'm going to take this here at 5. I'm going to flip this. And we're going to go 5. I'm sure I'm shaking the camera, so I apologize. And we're going to do the same thing. So this is going to be 5 1/4. And we're going to go 5. And 5. So when we look, is this, yeah, this is the one. So when we flip this up and we take this, so we could take that and put that there. We're going to set that in place. And then the pocket's going to come up and it's just going to sit right inside the pocket. So we're actually going to center that. All right, so that's how that's going to look. And we're going to do every other one. So if I take I want to get those clipped down again. So I like the contrast in that one. And we're going to go with that one. So now that means that this is going here. And then this is going here. That's there. That's there. That's there. Nope. That's here. And then that one's here. So we have all of our papers cut for the main part of our album. Meaning, these are the scraps that are left that we can play with. These here. And I still have some big pieces here. And then we have this one piece that is just confusing to me. It's just confusing to me. It doesn't mean it's not going to make it in here. Okay. Now, let's get to gluing. Yep. So now for this, I would really like to have a quiet tip for my glue. Let's see. Yeah, let's try that. See if that works. Stretching across. I do one side completely at a time. Now I'm going to open this up and we're going to get this in place. And once I get that set down, I'm going to bring the pocket up. We don't have to put any tape here because nothing's going to get caught on that, but you can put a piece of tape there. I am now going to then glue down our pockets. Oops. And then when we have this, And I'm just keeping the pieces lined up. I am not worried about these mats down here, but I have the continuation of the brown. And here's our one section. So we've got that flip up. Photo can go up here. Photo can go here. We're going to continue to embellish down here. And then if I look at the mats, I do want something with contrast. And that is our closure. And that just nestles right in there. So now, so that's our first one. Now we just need to do this 7 more times. You know. Let's get caught up in some comments. Hello, Beth. How are you? Welcome. Let's see. Yeah, I do. I there's just some things where I'm like, okay, that's not right, and yeah. But at the same time, again, I'm just very different. I don't need everything Ave to be completely right on the mark. Um, but there are some things that I do need to be right on the mark. It's it's odd. I know. When it comes to this piece here, I can see these angles that are coming down, and I'm okay with that because there's going to be something that comes across here, just to add that little bit, something different to that piece. But I can do that in, the cardstock to cover that up. If I didn't have it in the cardstock to cover that up, yeah, I would be a little nutty. So some things, yeah, some things I'm like, okay, nope, this has to go here, this has to go here. Where other things, no. I'm okay if they're wonky, um, crooked, like my card fronts. I don't need my card fronts to be perfectly flat on. I like the mixed media look where it's just all over the place, or the collage look, um, where it just rambles. Oh, I like that one. I want to go with that one instead. No, I want to go with this one. So it all kind of all depends with what's going where. I'm just going to spread these out so that I can see them. Now that one too, so that was a craft. we can put a bright one here. And once you work with a paper pad like this, where you've only gotten, 12 sheets to work with and all of that, you could see how I went from the largest down to the smallest to make sure that I was able to have those large images. And then again, that's what holds that closed. And then went through. So there was some background papers where, yeah, I would have liked to have had those background papers up, but they're now hidden in behind when it comes to that. That's one thing that I do like about scrapbook albums. Don't need to worry if it's double-sided paper or not. So that is one. We have one completed. Yay, let's set that aside. And we are only just over 2 hours. So I'm going to see how far I can get here. And then don't worry. I'll be able to show what it looks like once I finish it today. But figured I would show, yes, you can. Now, I already had the album put together. I already had the base pages cut. But you can get a scrapbook album done in a nice amount of time. All right, now that's just going to annoy me. That needs to go away. Let's see if I do this right. And again, it's just having fun with your papers. The same thing that I'm doing here, you can certainly do with your scraps. I think that would even be pretty cool. See what all of your scraps can do. And I think that was another reason why I enjoyed getting all of my scraps together in an order so that I can do that, whether I'm making ephemera or something like that. Oh, feel better soon. Beth, oh my goodness. So I can tell with my pockets, I was not measuring correctly. And then all of a sudden, I do. So, yeah, it's all good. We always add embellishments. We always add things, more layers to our pieces. Okay, I have to throw something once in a while. I think I saw, yeah, I did. Biddy said she was sick yesterday too. Hope you guys are all get better. Get better soon. And that's number two. You can see each one, even though we're doing the same thing, each one is looking different. Ugh. Cordelia, I don't think there is anything wrong with you being chatty because we have not had Flo here. I didn't see Flo in the chatterbox today. I hope I didn't miss her. Nobody should ever apologize for being chatty. Never, never, never. Okay, I think I mixed that up. No, I didn't. All right, we're here. So when I'm bringing this pocket up, I'm making sure this back piece here is lined up with that pocket and the papers that are on it. Because that part I need to be in line with. And I think once I get these together, we're going to get them into the book, because at that point, they can be set. And then we'll get the inside covers set. And I'm still on the fence of the cover itself. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. So I will have a follow-up video and how we complete this. No, yes. Not sure what I was thinking when I cut these. Again, that's okay. I think even though if you miss your cuts or if you have pattern paper, because everyone's just looking at the paper. And looking at what is that doing or how is that interacting. We see it because we're the ones that are putting this together, and then we decide, no, we can't have that there, or yeah, that's fine there. So I will say for this pack for Stamperia, or this type of pattern paper pack, a 6x8 journal, yes, it will work with a 6x8 journal. I was going to do one of my 8x8 pre-made journals. I do not believe that this would have been enough paper for that size journal. You would either need to have companion to this paper pack, and again, it doesn't have to be Stamperia. It can be anything that you would want it to be. Or if this collection did have a secondary, like Graphic 45, they have, the main one, and then you can either get the 8x8 or you can get the solids or the stripes. They have those available. You would need something like that. Because again, you only get, I think it's just the 12 papers. When it comes to that. And I'm pretty close to using all of that up. But again, this wasn't an 8x8 album. I think I definitely would have ran into issues, and I would have had to have found another collection. So that's something to think about. And that's something that I struggle with, because when I see paper, pattern paper that I like, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to make with that paper pad. And that's usually most of the time, if it's not already a large one, like the ones that you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, where there's 48 or 58 sheets, when you're looking at graphic 45 or the Stamparias, or even one of my the favorites, how they've grown, or the Paper Rose collections, I'll get the whole collection. You know, if it comes in 12 by 12, I'll get that. If it also comes in 6 by 6, I'll get that. Um, if they have the ephemera pieces, if they have the solids, the basics, you know, whatever else they have, I will go to get the entire collection um, for the piece. Because then I know I have everything that I need for no matter what I'm going to make. This paper just, it just catches my eye. It's, if there is a set that's out there, all right, here we go. Fingers crossed, people. You know, if there's a collection out there that I like, well, that's what draws me in. But at the time when I look at it, I don't know exactly what I'm going to make. Now, when I buy stamps or stencils, yeah, I kind of look at them that way now, where I do look and say, okay, what can I make with this set? What can I make with these images? Can I turn it into an ornament? Can I turn it into a home decor piece? Those things I've got to come up with multiple ways to use it, because anymore that's what I want to do. I want to stretch the supplies. I want to be able to make more than one thing when it comes to that item. Paper, it's, there is no limit to paper. There's absolutely no limit. You can do anything with it. We are at our last one that we're putting together. And as I said, we're going to get these into or onto the album, onto the hinges. And that's what I usually do. I will get the base pages done with the flips, the flops, whatever we're doing on that, get the paper on them. And then the only thing that's left is the outside. Now, when it comes to the cover, I will take the album, open it to the middle, and then lay it flat to put everything down. But I also will use my double-sided tape as well, so I have better secured. It'll grab real quick, so I don't have to push too hard down onto. See, that's the beauty of liquid glue. There we go. Now we'll glue that down. You know, Cordelia, I don't know. Um, I love making cards. I do. But I do really feel that my style of cards have changed. Um, so I am kind of in this place, where you kind of think, okay, where am I going? Where's this journey taking me? So I do know that there will be more changes as we go down. Because, yeah, my heart is just going in different avenues. So here are our pages. Um, Again, YouTube's not shutting down. My Podia community is still going to be there as well. Um, but there are, I know that the YouTube channel will just take a change. That I do know. Just don't know what that is yet. Still figuring it out. But I love, definitely, absolutely love being here. All right, so here are our pages. If we look at them, this is where our hinge is going to be. So now I'm just flipping through to say, okay, nope, I don't want that there. Yep, I want that there. I'm okay with that. So what I'm looking at is this card here. So we've got craft, craft, we've got a green, we've got that pinky tangerine, we got a craft, and we got a green, and we're starting out with that. Now that there, that's kind of, all right. So if I do that, yep, I'm switching up my hinges, and that, and that. So we're going to take the hinges out, the identifiers. Because we don't need them anymore. Because now we're just having fun switching them around. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put that one there. And we're going to put this one here. So now I've got craft, craft, tangerine green, craft, craft. See? It's just how my mind was working. Yep. So I'm going to set those aside. And real quick, we are going to put our inside covers in place. Not the outside. We're still working off of the outside. The card that I sent you made out of the paper strips. You'd have to send me a picture. Sorry for the scratching sound. All right, so we're going to get these set. Yes, Ave, graphic 45 papers. I love them. Now, usually, the set that I absolutely love every year from graphic 45, I'm going to take these covers and I'm going to move them because I think if I don't, I'm going to mess them up. And I'll clip them once I'm done. And I changed. I'm not gonna dull down. I was gonna put some vintage photo around this color. It's a little bright. But yeah, I like the Christmas. They usually come out with a beautiful Christmas set. Okay. So there we go. We've got this set. We are good to go. Now we're going to get our pages in here. This is where I kind of, well, I don't kind of, I do. I hold my breath. I make sure my hand goes in there. I get this finger here. We're going to push these out of the way. I'm going to take this first one. I'm going to bend it down. I need my pokey tool. Where's my pokey tool? I need my hooky tool. A pokey tool with a hook. There we go. I'm going to slide this on, and I'm going to push it down until it is even with the tape. Because for some reason, I amazingly cut. I'm going to push this out, pull this out. I made, so there's a lot of errors through this. I'm going to come in with the hook side. I'm going to go in, get this out, and then push that down. There's a lot of errors that or mistakes that I made in this, but you can't tell, right? But I'm going to tell you what they are. So when I made my base pages, I did not make, I always make my base pages a little bit bigger than what the hinge is. One, it's easier to get down onto the hinge. These, for some reason, I made the same exact height when I did these. So you can see the cover, you can see this and all of that. These should be just like a 1/4 of an inch taller than what this hinge is. So that's a boo-boo. But again, it didn't stop me. It's just a tighter fit. I always make sure that these, excuse me, tapes, hand, center, that these tapes are truly lined up on the hinge so that I know when I'm putting this down, these are going to line up. You always want to make sure you push down at that top because then it won't shift. Rosa Kelly Scrapbooking, she has a wonderful channel for albums. I saw her doing this with the pokey tool with a hook. Fabulous. Ingenious. I love learning tips and tricks. Can you tell? All right, let's go with our second one. I mean, is this wrong? No, I shouldn't say it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just not what I usually do. So it does allow for your pages to come down and be in line straighter. So if you always are worried that your pages don't lay straight going across here, making your bases the same size, that kind of helps with that. So it's not that it's wrong, it's just not something that I usually do. I allow for that extra room. because you can see they're laying, they're in line, they're totally in line. And then I just, when you do that, I just notch off these corners here down to the edge of the tape. And then knowing I've got that tape right where I want it, and know when I have that page down, I push down on the spot that's exposed, and then keep pulling, pull up. And when you have this hook, you want to go in there farther so that you can hook that back out. Okay, our pages are in. And that's the other thing that I didn't account for too. So again, everything's all about measurements when it comes to these. So know that you've got this 1/4 of an inch sitting here. You want to make sure that these are not super flush with the edge. Now, they're not. We still have a 1/4 of an inch. So the tabs are going to come out with the pieces that are coming in here. All right. So again, it's just things I don't normally do. But no one's going to know except for y'all that I just told you. But these are our pages, and again, this is our cover. So that will sit here. And then we have our spine. So now I can get these clipped back in. So that I don't lose them, because it's what will happen. And put this one here as well. All right. So that's, we're going to do more here. I'm going to put something down here. Probably I'm just going to put a string of lace down here, because again, the pattern paper is doing the work for us. There's going to be something here metal wise, and then again, we're going to put lace down here as well when it comes to that. Probably going to add a pocket in here using up our pattern or solid cardstock. I've got those scraps that I can use up, and I still have some definitely some paper left. But again, each page is the same, and that's okay. But here we can journal, we can add a photo, or we can journal out here and use this as our base for our photos. This flips up. Spot for a journal or photo, journal photo, and then we have a pocket to add more. And then that's what keeps that closed. No magnets. There's going to be like a file folder in here that has a tab that comes off, and I'll film all of that. And again, all kinds of space and room. So it's okay that they each have the same thing. And if you look, so you've got, all right, so if we have a photo here, and photo here. So you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So you could fit 24 if they're smaller. You could fit 2 on this page here to change it up. So you can put a photo here, put a photo here, you're up to 26. So lots of room in here to have those photos. And it does sit pretty flat because again, you don't have all of this bulk coming off of it. So again, like I say with pattern paper, simplicity sometimes and always, it never fails. It's always the best. All right, simplicity will add the most elegance, the most space And it's the best way to grow from, to learn. Again, we let our pattern papers do the work. But like I said, with the Stamperia, you're only getting those 12 sheets. This is what it covered. Now we still have some more things to do with this, and this is what I have left. So I have all of these. I have this large piece, which could be another thing that can go into the pocket. There's more journaling cards that I can make from this. And I have this one large sheet that just really confused me. I have to admit it. It really did confuse me. It's a beautiful piece, but it just kind of threw me off. Was not quite sure what I wanted to do. The only other sheet that I have left is this. And this is pretty much, yeah, I figured that. So 6 of these are going to be used because they are going to sit in the front here. I am going to back these. I'm going to cut these down and use these sheets because we didn't have to cut these. So I might be able to use the wider ones that I have because I do want that border on them. And they are going to sit in front. And then I just need to have 2 more because there's only 6 here because I need 8. So the rest of this is just literally going to become journaling cards and photo mats. And just, that'll bulk this up a lot. Alright, so in the matter of just under 3 hours. That's not bad. Good morning, Anthony. How you doing? Oh, LaFrance, you're sweet. Thank you so much. But I hope I'm inspiring you to give this a try. To try it. It's not... I find this is awesome, and I love doing this because it does. It slows me down. I'm not, thinking too far ahead. I'm not jumping too far ahead when it comes to this. It makes you think, measure, keep measuring, go one step at a time. You can see now why I just pin everything together first, because now I got to trim, because I was off in my cuts and all of that fun stuff. And that's okay. That is totally, totally, totally okay. It just, makes you move a little slower. So guys, I'm going to let you go from here. How many pictures will that album take? So, yeah, so it's technically, 24, 25, 26. But with all of the journal cards that I'm going to add, I believe that this could be close to 50. Depending upon how many cards I put in here, how many tucks I put in here. Because we still have room, since these are somewhat expandable, I can put more using these scraps. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use up almost every single one of these scraps and just keep creating journal cards. And I call them journal cards, but they can be, photo on one side, journal on the other. So I think I'll be able to get this close to 50. And again, they're not all 4x6 photos. That's the beauty of it. You can print it down to a 2x2 photo. You can have it a 3x4 photo. These can hold 2. Have a photo up here and have a photo down here. So, right here, you've got 8 of these. Well, that's 16 right there when it comes to that. And then when you add another 16, this is technically 32. So you can make it grow depending upon the size of your photos that you will add into this. All right. So guys, have a fantastic day. I will have a video later on this week following up on this, and to close this out so that you'll be able to see the whole thing. You guys saw that I did post the happy journal finally. Always have technical issues. Me and technology, we just do not get along. But we got through it, so I was finally able to get that up. It will be listed in the shop, hopefully by Monday night. If anybody is interested in that journal. And then this one, once I do the flip through, that one will be posted as well in the website as also. Again, if anybody is interested, don't forget, come join me in our community. There is the free level, and for July, I'm just about to get posted probably by the end of next week what our project is, and it's going to be a single signature journal. So, actually showing you how to use up your scraps, create your cover, papers you can use, and all of that stuff. And then in the paid level, the true subscription level, we're just going to, I'm not quite sure yet. I'm leaning towards something, so I don't want to give it away. Yeah, like how I did that. Um, but definitely, please come join me over there. Lots of full length tutorials, step by step. You don't miss anything unless it's that repetitive. I'll say, okay, I'm doing the same thing. Let's remove that. Um, all for free. Looking at different techniques, how you can use paper, and all of that fun stuff. So I hope to see you there. All of that will be linked down below as well as always. I will see you next Sunday. Yes, I will be live. And stay tuned for some fun videos this week when it comes to new releases coming out. All right, guys, I will take care of you. Thank you so much for being here. Truly grateful, honored, very much appreciated. Hope I inspired you to give this a try. And if you do, please figure out a way to send me a photo. But no, in the community, you can. You can actually post photos in there so that I can see what you all are working on. And I think that is great. I love seeing those ideas of what you've come up with. So take care. Continue to stay safe and healthy as we get through our summer months. And I will see you all in the next one. Till then, take care.